Okay, how many of you found this brainstorming difficult after you did the first bunch? Where you might have gotten a couple of really good examples and your brain just went in a whole bunch of different directions for what you saw. I know that's what I hit. Because it's a big question, because when you're looking at American hero, your brain starts there with these concept of American, and then you start to get troubled with, was this person really a hero? Are they a hero to a lot of people? Or are they just a hero to me? If they're just a hero to me, does that make them really an American hero? You sort of tangle up, and especially because we can get stuck with this having a lot of implications about representation. And not that they have to be diverse, but what does this figure represent about this concept? So let's look at some of what we came up with. Good one. Because the first one on my list was Superman. Probably because we were just talking about immigrant experiences there. And if you're looking at like Superman being the ultimate immigrant metaphor, this note says, in modern culture, many heroes have superpowers. Yep. This inflated sense of being able to make a difference in the world that you see around you. This one just says prominent social media figures. Definitely we've given the person a worldwide stage that you can be more than, because you now build a presence online. You have people that are interested in you and follow you. MLK, saw MLK over there. Ronald Reagan, high morals and are selfless. Many heroes are expected to sacrifice themselves. First responders, veterans, teachers. Teachers. Suck up. George Washington. Soldiers, firefighters. Eli Whitney. Speak their mind about an issue where no one else would. Again, this one, dying for a country, kind of that sacrificial ideal. Founding fathers, scientists, innovative farmers, rebellion leaders, presidents, social movement leaders, Lincoln, explorers, generals. Aren't afraid to stand up against the bigger people. There too, that concept of the small man who stands up for an ideal and represents all of us that feel as though we don't have a voice. People who make huge breakthroughs, people who save lives, people who make great speeches. Washington. So then some of the things that came to my mind, and again, my mind was all over the place with this one. Superman, Dorothy Gale, like Wizard of Oz Dorothy. Just because, have you ever seen the movie Return to Oz?
Return to Oz?
Return to Oz.
No.
Oh.
Like the prequel?
No. If you have Disney Plus, scare yourself and watch that one. Because it's you've seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like nightmarish. It's a sequel, so she's instituted.
In it?
No.
Why would I watch it?
It was filmed in the 80s.
It was Jude Garland. Yeah, there's a pretty girl was the only reason I watched the first one.
Okay, well, let me tell you on why. Nobody believes Dorothy, so she's institutionalized as a child, and they basically electrocute her, which was the common therapy at the time. She runs away from the institute. Oz is in basically a dystopic ideal. This is just like the first 20 minutes of the. She has to fight a lady who can take her head off and has a whole room full of heads that she can switch out with. And when she finds them in the middle of the night, they all scream.
Oh,
yeah, Let that one sink in. Anyway, think about Dorothy Gale. She's from Kansas, little girl, put in an odd situation. All she wants to do is come home again after she manages to save everybody. Anyway, for some reason that led me to Charles Lindbergh. Guy who flew across the country, aviator. His kid got kidnapped, famous figure. Neil Armstrong, John Lewis, Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam?
You think about that concept of Uncle Sam as the embodiment of America, the concept and the ideal. And for some reason I went, Michael Corleone from The Godfather. He's an American hero. So if you were like, my brain isn't working right today, yeah.
Well, I was doing right things. I just thought I was doing it wrong.
Notice how there's a lot of color to how we can approach this question of American heroism. There's lots of ways that it can look. And part of what we want to explore is like, what's a concept that you see? And a lot of you are already there. Rather than having specifics, you were able to talk about what are ideals that we see, whether it's that sacrificial concept, that idea of standing up for a smaller person, representing some kind of ideal or moral or something. Remember that with this exploration, you're going to tie it to the book. And so we want to think about how that ideal of American heroism is present in Gatsby, a character who fails, remember, but who does have very specific things he is trying to fight for and he believes in, concepts that he holds true to himself. So as you get into this, there is an article posted in there. Class time wise, we don't have time to look at it, but it kind of explores that idea of like, what have we taught people by having that expectation of sacrifice? And it kind of looks at veterans specifically. If that's the concept that they have, and they go to war, and then they come back, how does that make them feel that they survived? And, you know, persist. And so it kind of had some interesting correlations too with the lost generation, who all did come back when so many didn't. So, stop that here.